This episode is brought to you by Trailer Park Yard Games, where over 28 games are delivered directly to your party. We park the trailer, you party. I'm excited about the tamales.
I'm really excited about tamales. One, I love Mexican food. Now, they're not gluten-free, though.
No, they're actually just gluten. They're just like a log of gluten.
But actually, I don't know, because they use corn, right?
Cornmeal.
Corn doesn't have gluten.
I don't know what gluten is, so.
Gluten's a vague term. It's something that's used to categorize things that are bad. You know, calories, that's a gluten. Fat, that's a gluten.
Yeah, corn isn't gluten. Just for you guys to know.
Well, who knows? But what I do know is this: that I'm really excited about it. But more than
let's have a chat, talk this and that with BB and Jaisy.
Hey, that's my fat Albert. It's Sarah Pata, yeah. It's a PB and Jaisy show. We are so glad you are tuning in.
Hey.
To my left, I have
Bill Stedham.
And to the right, the lovely.
I am Jaisy George.
Awesome. And we are so glad and appreciative that you're here today. And actually, what we're going to talk about today
is appreciation.
Is what we appreciate. And I will tell you that I appreciate more than anything, of course, family, but my clients keep me in business. We all run small businesses. And so nothing is more important to us than our clients. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And, we had a few years back, we had an idea brought to us from somebody else in our network that was thinking outside the box a little bit. We listened to Brian Buffini a lot. Shout out to his podcast. What is his podcast called, by the way?
The Buffini Show.
Buffini Show. It's really good. It's not just real estate related, but anyway.
Actually, they changed it. I'm sorry. It's called The Good Life.
Oh, The Good Life.
Rebranding.
Perfect.
Rebranded, that's correct.
It is a good life. It is a good life. But the idea came to us for client appreciation parties, and they started out as, you could do things in the park, you could do like a bowling day, you could rent out a movie theater, and the idea was just to invite your clients, no strings attached, just come have a good day, we'll just interact, whatever. And then it turned into let's bring the clients to our office or to our home. I think the first lady that did it, what was her name?
Phyllis. I'll insert name later on.
But she had it at her house, and she would invite all of her clients to her home.
Phyllis Glover.
There you go. And she would entertain them and send them home with a free pie. So fast forward a few years later, and our office has done it how many years now?
Oh, goodness. We started back on Highway 287 a decade ago, maybe.
At least, yeah.
The first one, maybe we had 15 pies.
And so we call it Client Appreciation Day or Pie Day. So Jaisy, tell us, because you've done Pie Day a couple times, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your experience with Pie Day and what it looks like.
So Pie Day is super fun. It's a really great way to engage with your clients outside of, business, where we're looking for a home, we're trying to sell your home, anything like that. It's great to just be like, hey, it's the holidays. Thank you for, and it doesn't have to be a client per se that you've done business with. It could be someone that is thinking about it. It could be someone that referred a client to you.
For sure.
Anyone within your sphere that you want to appreciate. And so I've started it out with just an easy text that's like, hey, the holidays are coming around. I do want to show you that I appreciate you. Our office does a really cool event called Pie Day, and I'd love to put your name on a pie. And then I'll ask them what flavor that they want. And the office, just the spirit is so great.
It's awesome, yeah.
It's the week of Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And we've got Santa here. It's like a nice mix between Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Right. Yeah, because we're giving out Thanksgiving pies, but the office is decorated for Christmas.
Right.
In Santa. But that's good. It all happens so fast.
Yeah.
Here anyway.
One of my favorite things about Pie Day, though, is also the tree with the angels on it, the angel tree. Sure. So if you're not familiar with the angel tree, we adopt angels from the Salvation Army, and kids will put things that they want on this angel. So you pick an angel from the tree and it'll have a name, an age, and some things that this kid wants. And sometimes it's really sad because it's things like socks the kid is like 6 years old and you're like, man, he's 6 and he's asking for socks.
That was like the one thing I didn't want when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And this year we're going to Bethlehem Baptist here in Mansfield. And so they've taken local applications. I think they have to be a Mansfield resident and they have to be below poverty, which below poverty, it blew my mind because I sat one time and took applications, and to see what they had to qualify to be considered low income was crazy. I don't know how people survive on that. And obviously they're struggling, but like you said, just to see that it wasn't all toys. Some kids ask for candy, but there's always a coat or shoes or whatever. So what else happens that day, Bill? Because I know it looks a lot different than it used to.
Well, it looks a lot different than it used to. Let's go all the way back to when we started. How's that?
Started from the bottom.
What about you and Ann used to bake every single pie?
We did. So the first year when we had this idea, there was, everybody looked at us like we were crazy. And Sarah and one other said, hey, let's try this. So we got 4 or 5 agents together to do it. I think we had 13 or 14 pies, and we made those from scratch. That's not that big of a task. And
not for Ann. For me, it would be.
Not for my wife. So we put together those pies. And I got to tell you, it turned out fantastic. So the next year that we did it, there was, I'm going to say 100, 150. And when I went home and told Ann, hey, we're making pies, and it's going to be about 150 people. So we baked the pies.
You baked 150 pies?
Oh, that wasn't the biggest we ever did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You did it for a few years.
No, wait, hold my beer. Let me keep going.
Oh, it gets better. So we stopped when we got up to about 300 or 400 pies, and it was like, Ann was like, I don't have a big enough kitchen. We've got to figure something else out. Because we would take the living room, the breakfast area, the dining room, the garage, and we would turn it into a bakery. And
because I'm thinking there's not just baking the pie, you have to package the pie. And there's a whole process.
You got to make the insides, you got to make the dough from scratch.
Right.
Well, in the first few years, remember Lee did these amazing handmade bows on each package. And it was a lot.
And then we decided, well, we'll cater it also. So we would have anything from tri-tip to mashed potato bars to sliders, full bars for sure. And it got so busy at one office, we actually had the police come, and we had to hire them to direct traffic because it would back up 287.
Wow.
And people coming in and out. We had, the big searchlights up so they could find us. And it was it's been a great event. It still is a great event. But we would pack the place with literally well over 1,000 people. We moved it to this location. We don't have a counter at the door, but everybody that comes in brings right about 3.5 people with, because we have Santa Claus. Not everybody has a family. That's where the half comes at. So somewhere around 3,500 people thereabouts are showing up, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, in a 8 or 9 hour period for snacks, for drinks. And we're not talking, we don't go out and buy the $8 cheese and sausage tray at Brookshire's.
Right. Well, and one thing too that I think I've always kind of prided, not that I've done it, but that we pride ourselves on, is we're supporting local businesses during this time. So we did miss 1 year for COVID, but since then, before and since then, we've gone to local places, and as we get bigger, that may have to change. I don't know, but we're up to 700-800 pies. Just in our office?
Yeah, easily. The biggest we ever did was, I think, 1,100 pies, and that was prior to COVID. Of course, COVID had a little impact on it. Last year was 7+. This year will probably be 800 to 900.
And that's, between $15 and $18 a pop. So if you are a bakery and you want to give us a good deal,
Yes.
The last year and this year, I think we're still going to go with Grounds and Goals. We were with Joe's here in Mansfield, which they've closed down. It's a taqueria now. It's about to be.
I've heard they've moved, that they're in...
is it Saginaw?
Waco or something now?
Yeah,
they had a couple.
They had a couple locations,
Mansfield
but
location
we wanted to stay closer to Mansfield for the logistics. And I'll tell you, the guy we used last year, we needed some extra pies. And I couldn't say enough. First of all, I loved the pies. Absolutely loved his
Very
pies.
good,
But he had them all packaged for us, ready to go. And when we needed the extras, on the day of Pie Day, we don't have extra people to go get things because there's people everywhere. He delivered them to us. He cared about the quality of his product. He called before the event, he called during the event, and he called after the event several times to make sure things were good. And it was fantastic. Shout out to Grounds
and Gold.
Shout out to that guy.
Yeah, but fantastic. And this year we're going to add a little added twist to it. What are we doing this year?
So in true Texas fashion, which I didn't know everyone didn't do this, but we're going to offer them sweet or salty. So pies or tamales.
Oh.
So you can either get a pie or you can get a dozen tamales. You get to pick. So
That's a good idea. That is a good idea because I've known people who don't do sweets.
Right.
Or I found good alternatives because I had 2 clients last year that needed something gluten-free. So I was able to find that.
Yeah,
I'm
Beth
excited
said,
for Pie Day.
Beth in our office, she said, she was offering poinsettias too for anybody
Oh.
that either diabetic or, gluten or whatever.
Right.
And some of and I think Grounds and Golds will do it too. They'll do a gluten-free. It's just, it's kind of a side order, but
Yeah.
I'm excited about the tamales. I
I'm
think
really
that'll be
excited
good.
about tamales. One, I love Mexican food. Now, they're not gluten-free, though.
Yeah.
No,
No.
they're actually just gluten. They're just
Yeah.
like a log of gluten.
But
Actually, I don't know because they use corn, right?
Cornmeal.
Corn doesn't have gluten.
I don't know what gluten is, so
Yeah, corn isn't gluten. Just for you guys to know.
I have no idea.
well, who knows? But what I do know is this: that I'm really excited about it. But more than what the logistics are, what I like about the event every single year is watching the past clients come in, visit with their agent, and what I love about it is when they seek me out and they say, "Hey, I want to tell you about how great of a job Jaisy did, or how great of a job Sarah did, or let me tell you about Beth, or about this, or whoever." I've never had one seek me out and complain. And I'm not looking for complaints on that day. But I've never had one seek me out and complain, and they come up and they brag about the agent. It makes it so worth it. We're able to give back. And tell you a little story. When we were building this building and we were in the negotiations to get this lease, we were trying to actually go into a different building. And the building we were in, we were negotiating with the president of the bank. It was a bank building that we wanted to go into. And he sat down and he said, "I want to get one of those pies you guys give away." I said, "Well, you can do that. You have to be a client of ours." He said,
Or give us this lease at a discounted
Yes.
rate.
yeah. And he said, "Serious? You're not going to give me a pie?" I said, "If you're a client of ours, I'll give you a pie." Turned out we couldn't come to an agreement on the
Just
lease.
because you didn't give them a
Yeah.
pie.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't that. It was
Dang.
one word that was very important to us, and we couldn't come to an agreement on it. So we ended up in our current location, which by the airing of this, we'll be in a brand new
Yeah.
location.
Yes.
And, that's going to present a new room for Santa Claus, a great new pie shop, and a huge facility to do these type of events.
So, and also, we also want this to be something that's a community event. So even if you're not a client, although you won't have pies or tamales, you can come see Santa. We do 2 different charity events that day as well. So as Jaisy mentioned, the Angel Tree, as well as collecting bears. Do you want to talk about the bears a little bit?
Yeah. So we have bears where it's just as simple as that. You just bring a bear to the office. You donate a bear. Nothing too gigantic. Is there a size limit for how typically?
No size limit, but
Not really one of those big fair bears. I mean,
Yeah.
we would take it, but
they do need to be new, unused.
Yes.
and they could be a different type of animal. We had some meese, some mooses.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a giraffe and seeing
Yeah.
just a plush toy that, a child would appreciate. And this is something that started as a passion project for Jim and his wife, that every year around on Christmas Day, every Christmas morning, they go to the hospital and they hand out bears to children
And adults.
And adults.
Yeah.
that just, need a little something to hug and need that extra love on Christmas Day, because no one wants to spend Christmas in the hospital. So if that's something that you would love to do, we would really appreciate that, to just bring a bear by our office. We will be in a new office location, but it's just close by here. So we'll put the address and all that information in the description box so that you know where to go. But yeah, it's just as simple as that, just getting a new bear, and you can touch someone that you've never met.
And I'll make this offer to anybody that wants to join us on Christmas morning. So Santa Claus shows up, and so does Mrs. Claus. We're from the North Pole. We don't go over and identify ourselves as being with Century 21 Judge Fite. And when people ask where we're from, we tell them we're from the North Pole. This is not about our company. It's about making people feel good. And Christmas morning at 8:30, every year for 35 years now, maybe 34 years, there's been a group of people that have went to the local hospitals. About 7 years ago, right when they opened Mansfield Methodist, we adopted Mansfield Methodist, and we have went over there at Christmas morning, 8:30 in the morning, every year except, COVID. Had an issue with it, but we're hoping to be able to do it this year. We still delivered bears even during COVID. We took them to the hospital. But what happens is we walk through the halls, and we need lots of people to carry the bears. We take a few thousand over there. And every single patient, every single visitor, every single doctor, every single nurse gets a bear from either Santa or Mrs. Claus. And it's one of the most heartwarming experiences in the world. It takes us about an hour and a half, 2 hours to go through the whole hospital. But you can just see their faces. And a lot of times, that'll be the only thing they get on Christmas. And the sad reality is, sometimes that's the last Christmas that people will be there. Mm-hmm. We've had bears where we've walked in, and we've given out bears to people in our family that have been there.
I know. One year, of course, I'm related to everybody in Mansfield. But one year we went, there was like 3 of my relatives, and I'm like, "Oh, hey,
hey, I've been meaning to visit you. Also, here's a bear.
Yeah, here's a bear."
But it's so fun, and we have a little bit of snack and stuff before that. So if you want to join us Christmas morning, come by our office at about 8:15. At 8:30, we'll be at the hospital. We'll have a little bit of snack before we go over there, and we'll be done by 10 o'clock. And it's a great thing. We take, families are welcome. Of course, you do have to control your younger kids. They can't be running up and down the hall screaming. That's not a good thing.
You looked at me when you said that.
Well, but your kid.
Yeah. We all know how my kids can be.
Sound like a dog.
That did sound like a dog.
Everyone
what was that?
is okay.
I think I kicked something.
It's always
breaking
Jaisy.
stuff. Sorry.
Well, and we don't say any of this to toot our own horns or to say, look at us and look what we're doing. We really do this to let you guys know what's out there and to encourage you guys to do the same, to plug in somewhere. And even if you aren't physically or even, either physically or monetarily able. Does that sound good? Good. Okay, good. Tom was giving
Sounded
me a nod.
right.
Yeah. You ain't got the money or the time. One way or the other. If you don't have the time, give the money. If you don't have the money, give the time. There's always some way to give back and to plug in. So,
but let's take it one step further. So while we've talked about what we do, now take it and look at your business. So you're listening to this. Everyone that's listening to this is a salesperson of some type. Even if the only sale you're doing is convincing your wife what you want for dinner tonight. Mm-hmm. But you're a salesperson of some type, and you have clients of some type. Think about how you can get back to your clients, because if you don't get back to your clients, at some point in time, you become a commodity. And once you become a commodity, your clients are going to be looking for cheaper forms of doing business.
Well, and I think now we have this generation and just whatever community of experience. They want the experience. And when they go somewhere, they want an experience. And I think that there's a lot of businesses that are lacking that right now, but I think the ones that we all think of, it's because we've had a good experience there, or they reached back out after the fact, or they've gone the extra mile or extra step.
Well,
do y'all have any companies y'all can think of off the top of your head?
Well, I can think of several, but I'll just talk about where I buy my vehicles from. I'm very loyal to the 2 people I buy my vehicles from, and one's Lexus and one's Chevy. In fact, the last several have been Chevys.
Shout out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out. And in fact, I'll just shout out even more. Chuck Fairbanks Chevrolet, and Jeff Sorels is our salesperson there. we don't go to Jeff because he gives us a cheaper price. In fact, he doesn't. He doesn't give us a discount. We go to Jeff because of the service and because of the experience. And I just, I recently upgraded my truck to a 1-ton to pull my Airstream. Not that I need a 1-ton for my Airstream.
You were name dropping so hard.
I don't know why, but I heard wonton.
Wonton?
I was thinking 1-ton tomato.
But so we ordered this vehicle, and in a time where getting trucks was really, really hard. In fact, it still is. And I gave Jeff exactly what I wanted in a truck, and I said I wanted to order it with all of these on here. And so he had to do a lot of work and wait in line to get that ordered. So when he got it ordered, he wrote us and said, hey, it's been ordered. He called me, wanted to make sure I knew it was there. He followed up on a regular basis, said, hey, I'll let you know when your truck gets on the assembly line. He called us when it came off the line. He called us when it went on a delivery vehicle. We knew when it got into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And taking delivery of it, it was the quickest and easiest thing I ever did.
Sounds like the opposite of your furniture delivery.
Yeah, the opposite of my furniture delivery.
Sore subject.
Not a shout out to that company, so I won't even mention that name. But here's where it really gets good. So, when you buy a vehicle, it doesn't have plates on it, right? They have to go take care of the plates, and usually you have to go by and get those. And for me, it's really a pain in the tail. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to go by and get the plates, because I've got a pretty full schedule, and Ann's got a full schedule. We didn't say anything or complain about anything. So one morning, I got up after, we go to bed fairly early, but we get up really early. And I went out to get the paper, and the plates were on my truck. He had come in the middle of the night, put the plates on my truck, installed them, put the sticker and a nice little note on the windshield, in an envelope.
Wow.
That's service you can't get, and that's why Chuck Fairbanks
careful, though,
Chevrolet and Jeff is going to get our business.
Jeff Fairbanks, you got to be careful.
Yeah. These days, you never know. You might get shot, especially in Mytholopia.
Yeah.
You guys are out in the country.
Oh, we're in God's country. It's very safe there.
Yeah.
I had a really great experience with our dog's vet, and we and it's not even doing anything that's crazy. It's just something that's just nice that not everybody does. That just kind of sets you apart. Chloe is old; she's 12, and so she's had a lot of health issues in the last year and a half. As she's getting older.
It's because she's not allowed in the bed. That's why.
That's why. Well, she can't get on the bed anyway because, that's a whole nother thing. She's just old. She can't jump and stuff. But every time that we've had a vet appointment, about the next morning, it's not a nurse or an MA that calls me. It's always the vet that's just like, hey, just wanted to check up on Chloe and see how she did, after through the night and how she's tolerating the medicine and all of that stuff. And I was like, man, this is really great. There's so many they're not the closest vet. There's so many vets that are closer, but we continue to go there because you feel like they honestly care.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's the way to people's heart. You care about their kids or their pets or their trucks, I guess. And you're in.
Well, and you take the extra step. I can say the same thing about my dentist, same thing about my doctor, where they both personally call after the appointment, check on us, make sure we're doing good.
Make sure you paid your bill.
Yeah.
No, they're not worried about that.
By the way.
but they call to check on us and take that extra step. And it's just that little extra step. It's the little extra note that shows up in the mail when you're not expecting it. It's the touch that says, hey, I saw you guys did this. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. Or how did you like that? Or I saw you went here. How was that? And if everybody would think, how can you make someone feel important today? How can you make someone feel special today? And they would just employ that in their lives and their business, they would be so much better off.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, we've known a lot of people close to us within our office that you don't know how much longer you have with people that you love. The world is so unpredictable. You really don't know. And you don't want to have things left unsaid or to not make someone feel appreciated while they're here. So definitely take all of those opportunities because, you never know when you're going to die.
Right. All right.
Wow, that went dark quick.
Okay.
I just said what y'all were thinking. All right, Bill, you have a tale for us about client appreciation or one of our pie parties or...
Well, I guess I have two. We were doing a pie party.
Oh, wait. Now it's time for our segment called...
Tales from the Lockbox.
Sorry, I'm getting rusty.
Yeah, that's okay. You're getting old.
Yeah.
Memory's the first thing to go. But here we go. We were having a pie appreciation day in our old office. So this is several years ago. And one of the agents is scared to death of dogs. Okay. So one of their clients thought...
Looked like a dog.
No. One of their clients brought in one of these huge poodles into the building for Pie Day. And all of a sudden, I see the agent come running by. She is scared to death. They thought it was funny. The agent didn't think it was too funny. No. And then we had another agent, they'll remain nameless and so will the clients, that every single Pie Day, when they were invited, they would show up right before we opened and start eating. Now, the food's pretty good quality that we give out. That same client would drink lots, eat lots.
Oh, and they stay all day, right?
They stay until after we close. We're cleaning up, and there's still this client sitting there. Is there any more food?
And taking
time to go.
They wanted to feel very appreciated. Yes. Well, Jaisy, you want to level us up a little bit?
Yes.
This whole thing has been kind of leveled up.
Yeah. So I've got a really great quote that I heard just this week. If you guys have heard of Tim Ross, he is a pastor at Embassy Church in Irving. In the Dallas Metroplex somewhere. And so he's got a podcast, and on it this week he was talking about generosity, and he said being generous is something from your heart, not from your bank account. And I thought that was just so wow, what a good perspective on that, because a lot of people think like, oh, I really want to help out with this, but I've really tight on bills, or I can't do this because of, it's all tied to money. Like I want to give this, but there's so many other ways that you can make someone feel appreciated or help out your community that does not involve giving money. You can give your time. You can give, if you have something that you're good at, let's say you're really good at tying bows, you can tie bows on things or wrap some presents for kids, or there's so many ways that you can use the gifts that you have to help others instead of just throwing money at it.
I think that's good. I think that's a good point, because I think people always think, oh, generous, you have to be rich to be generous.
No,
you don't. That's how you get rich, is you're generous, and rich isn't money. So I think that's awesome. Yeah. So all that being said, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate our audience, our clients. If you do want to stop by our client appreciation party, it is November 22nd from 1 to 7. Santa will be here from 4 to 6. If you want, you can bring a unwrapped new stuffed animal of any kind. And then we'll also have, I think we're adopting about 50 local children for Christmas. You can make a monetary donation, or you can come adopt. I've seen a lot of people bring their kids or grandkids and then take them shopping. And I think that's a great way to let your kids know.
And they can meet the cast. They can come visit with all of us. The address, by the way. Yeah, the cats. No, the cast. The address, by the way, of our new building is 352 Matlock. And we're going to be in Suite 300. It'll be well signed, so please come by. I'd love to see you.
Yeah, right at the corner of Matlock and Broad, behind Rosa's Taqueria. Yeah. Okay.
Pies and tamales.
Yes. And they're not coming from Rosa's. The tamales will be homemade, so also local. All right. Well, thank y'all so much for listening. We appreciate y'all so much. Like, subscribe, follow us. Let us know how much you love us. We'd love to hear it. How much you appreciate us. And thanks so much for tuning in. With that, we out.
Bye.
Just had a chat, talk this and that with PB